Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the March in Silver MMA show. And we are off the back of one of the best nights in UFC history. One of the most important nights for UFC went down this weekend. It was UFC 300, a milestone for them. It was a great show for the fans. Oscar, firstly, how are you?
What is there left to be said that already hasn't been said? I am absolutely riding the high off of the weekend still. I'm still feeling a little remnants of it, and my voice is feeling a little remnants of it as well. If my voice sounds a little more rougher, it's because I was screaming my head off like a lunatic when Max Holloway landed the knockout blow against Justin Gaethje with a second left in the BMF title fight. And I think that's the appropriate
Absolutely
way
insane.
to kick off the show above the main event because that was the peak of UFC 300.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Absolutely fantastic show. Have you talked about there? Max Holloway absolutely still in the show. Um, you got to talk about that dance partner though, Justin Gaethje. I think he helped it as well, didn't he?
Yeah, Justin Gaethje really had a tough night. It all started when he got clipped with that spinning back kick right to the nose, breaking his nose instantly, and he almost ran out of the octagon. That's how bad the strike was. And after that, it appeared to me that Gaethje was really unable to perform at the level that we're used to seeing because Max Holloway was firing on all cylinders that night. He said he had to be perfect to win, and he pretty much was in this fight. His footwork was impeccable. He was lighting up Justin Gaethje, and it appeared to me that the fact that he moved up to lightweight and he actually took the time to bulk up this time really may have had an impact on his power because he was able to hurt Justin Gaethje several times before finishing him. And that is something that we didn't exactly see in the Dustin Poirier fight. So I really think Max Holloway may have had the best performance of his career, even better than the performance where he landed 445 significant strikes against Calvin Kattar. That's how fantastic he looked that night. And I cannot wait to see what his ceiling is at this point because many people thought after he lost the third Volkanovski fight, this guy was just going to be a gatekeeper at featherweight. He moves up to lightweight, fights potentially the hardest hitting man of the division. He's up on the scorecards. He points at the ground, which is a move that he did against Ricardo Lamas and against Arnold Allen. A move that puts him in danger, a move that is playing Justin Gaethje's game. That is what Justin Gaethje wanted this whole fight, to fight in the center, swinging hooks. And he won that battle, and he did it with a second left. That, for me, solidified this as potentially the greatest moment in UFC history because he did not need to do that. He decided to take the risk, and that risk paid off.
Absolutely phenomenal stuff from Max Holloway. Two fantastic dance partners, as we mentioned. Obviously, Justin Gaethje. When's he not an exciting fight? And he's absolutely phenomenal. He's a savage. The perfect dance partner. Max Holloway needed to earn that 600K. I think. And an absolutely ridiculous bonus. And that I feel like with that bonus, that 300K bonus, I felt like Dana knew what he was doing. He was put under a lot of pressure, but it showcased. It worked out positively because we had a fantastic fight night. Everybody wanted to win that bonus, whether it was the first fight of the evening or the last fight of the evening. Everyone was going for it, and I think eventually it was rightfully Max Holloway's. He took over the show, absolutely dominated. As you can see, he won the belt, BMF championship, fight and performance of the night. 600K in bonuses. Wow, what would you do with 600K?
Yeah, well, if in Max Holloway's case, he's doing it right. He says he's going to invest it into building a new house. So that's the way to do it. Max Holloway is absolutely the BMF in the UFC, and he has renamed it to Blessed Man Forever, which is very appropriate because the guy has a beautiful family. He's a champion in featherweight, and with this performance, it's a real possibility that we could see him fight for the championship at lightweight, and anything is possible with Max Holloway. He, for me, really proved himself. He was already a future Hall of Famer before this, but this proved to me he's one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, completely agree. Max bless Holloway, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely fantastic stuff that we witnessed this weekend. Let's talk about another one. We're going to go back towards the main event, and we'll talk about that potentially another future Hall of Famer. His name is Potan Alex Pereira. Yeah, this man just keeps getting better. He keeps evolving. He's almost 37 years of age, but he still looks young, still looks fresh. And he's putting these guys away. Like the last decision he went to was Jan Blachowicz, and that was a split decision. But this guy has the touch of death. If he hits you with one clean hand, it's over, man. And what he showcased this night as well, he likes to keep the momentum, no stops in the breaks in the fight. Like Herb Dean was going to stop the fight because of the groin kick. He said, "No, hold up, wait, let me cook." Alex Pereira is something else. He's a freak of nature, isn't he?
Yeah, nobody has been able to do what Alex Pereira has done in this very short time in terms of greatness, winning 2 titles in the UFC. It's basically unheard of for a guy that is like 10 fights or so deep into a UFC run. And Jamal Hill was a very dangerous guy in all of his fights, but it just didn't appear to me that there was a danger factor in this fight. Alex Pereira really was confident in his abilities. He walked forward basically the whole time. He was beating up Jamal Hill with those leg kicks, but they weren't really a factor because the swelling really didn't go up in the short period that the fight was. And as he continued to walk forward, he did get clipped with a kick right to the groin. And instead of taking a pause in the action and allowing the distance to reset, he decided that he didn't want to do that. He decided he wanted to keep closing the distance, and that's exactly what he did. He landed the infamous left hook exactly as I predicted, and Jamal Hill had a tremendous reaction. The eyes rolled into the back of his head. The power is scary, and the numbers that he showed on that power cube were definitely true. That is a different kind of power. Did not even land it clean. And this is now a guy that I think can knock out anybody at any weight.
Yeah. Could you imagine if he went up to heavyweight and fought Tom Aspinall? I think that's the one that he wants. That's what it hints like anyway. That's what that looks like what he wants next. Tom Aspinall.
Yeah, he wants that in May 4th, UFC 301 in Rio. But unfortunately, he came in with a broken toe, and he broke another toe in this fight. So I don't think they would rush him back into the octagon just for that. Um, for me, I do think the next fight has to be Magomed Ankalaev because it will answer our question about where's his grappling at. Sure, he may have gotten a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the end of this fight, but I got a feeling that that belt may not be too legitimate because he's not been doing jiu-jitsu all that long. But who knows? Maybe he proves this wrong and he gets a guillotine on Magomed Ankalaev. I would love to see him tested on the ground because he's been taken down by Israel Adesanya, Yir Prohaska, Bruno Silva, and Andres Michailidis. And I've not seen great stuff on the ground. But if you can shoot him, win. That he could move up to heavyweight.
Yeah, you mentioned obviously Pereira being a black belt, which is crazy because he's only been training jiu-jitsu for like 6 years or whatever it is. Demetrius Johnson is still a brown belt. That's crazy, isn't it? I think there's a bit of delay here. I'm not too sure. Oscar, can you hear me?
Yeah, I just need to reset this laptop real quick. You can continue on.
No worries. It never goes swiftly in the world of virtual podcasting, but we're here now. It is what it is. Yeah, Alex Pereira put on a fantastic main event fight at UFC 300 against Jamal Hill. It's good to still see Jamal Hill in high spirits. He's on Twitter, still posting and stuff. So it's good to see that. Huge knockout from Alex Pereira. Good stuff. Absolutely fantastic to see. Next one. We had the co-main event, and it was between Weili Zhang and Yan Xiaonan. Yan. I'm sorry. But yeah, UFC Strawweight Championship of the World. It was good to see Weili back in there. Weili is, she's phenomenal. And I feel like she was in there against a really good test going into it anyway. Weili keeps improving. Obviously, we know how good her grappling was in. We knew before that going, but into this fight, that's where she really dominated. I thought she had Yan Xiaonan out in the first round. I think everyone probably did. She could have even been out. Like it was incredible. But Weili, I feel like what we did see as well is Yaonan is absolutely fantastic on the feet, very, very powerful. At times, we're clipping Weili in the fight, and it was just fantastic fight overall. But I feel like obviously he was the fresher of the two as well. I think Yan was definitely fresher than Zhang, but Zhang just kept him getting them fight to the floor. And that's where she really was, taken over. I feel like Yan Xiaonan had no answer for the wrestling of Weili Zhang, and it kind of really paid. You kind of really saw it. But yeah, fantastic performance of Weili. She retains her belt. That is the second defense of the title now. So she's on a bit of a run now. Obviously, since losing to Rose Namajunas, she gone pretty much. She beat John Jacek, beat Carter Esparza for the title, beat Amanda Lemos, and now Yan Xiaoyan. So yeah, she's a bit of a run. Good to see. I would love to see the UFC go to Beijing now. I think that's what makes sense in my opinion. And maybe this rematch here, it should happen in Beijing. I think the fight would just be even bigger. I feel like they would have packed out the arena anyway, like if it was the first fight. But yeah, good to see Weili getting it done. I feel like there were some challenges on the feet from Yan. I feel like she possessed them. She was very sharp on her feet. Weili was getting clipped at times, but the grappling was always what we thought was going to take over, and that's what did. Oscar, thoughts on Weili? Obviously, some negative things. So obviously, the cardio didn't look too great. Yan was, the fresher of the two women, and also the better striker. It seems like the better of the two women.
You can't really blame Willie in this situation. There were two situations in this fight where I thought that the fight was over. In round one, she has a very deep rear naked choke, and she clearly puts Yan Xiaonan to sleep, so much so that they have to wake her up in the corner. And then in round two, she flattens her out and is landing a ton of ground and pound with no real response from Yan Xiaonan. And I personally would have stopped the fight. That's how dominant she was looking. So I scored round one and round two a 10-8 for Zhang Weili. But Yan Xiaonan made a miraculous recovery. She was able to score knockdowns in round three and round four. I was absolutely stunned, and for a second I thought we were about to see one of the bigger upsets in a women's title fight history. But Zhang Weili is a very resilient champion, and I would love to see this ran back at some point, because we saw that Yan Xiaonan can absolutely hang at the toppest level, and that she's improving with every fight. She did not get finished like she did against Carlos Barza, and that's a testament to her training with Uriah Faber at Team Alpha Male. So I really like this fight, but I wish we had more energy to give it after that Holloway Gaethje fight, because on any other card we would give this fight a lot more praise, but we just had no energy to give, and neither did that crowd. You could hear a pin drop when they were introducing Yan Xiaonan.
Yeah, unfortunate, but yeah, you know what it is. Max Holloway put on one of the best performances inside UFC history, so unfortunately, it is what it is. But yeah, we spoke about Weili Zhang versus Yan Xiaoyan. We spoke about Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje. So Arman Kazarian versus Charles Oliveira, split decision for Arman, which I didn't kind of agree with. I thought Arman got the job done. It was hard at times, but I think he got the victory, especially in that first round. It was tough for obviously Charles Oliveira, put him in some dangerous positions.
I was very nervous as a Sarukian fan in this fight, because Charles Oliveira is the most notorious finisher in UFC history. And in that round one, he got stuck in a very deep guillotine. Reminded me a lot of Alexander Volkanovski against Brian Ortega in round three. it was very tight. We could see that Sarukin was in serious trouble, but he's very tough, and I knew his submission defense would hold up. And as I predicted, Charles Oliveira was not exactly concerned with getting up. He thought he could get some kind of submission off his back. He was able to get Sarukin's neck at the end of the fight, tried for a Darce choke, but ultimately it failed because Arman Sarukian absolutely knew what he was in for in this fight. He knew he would have to defend submissions. That's what he did. And on the feet, I was impressed with Sarukin's defense. A lot of people get hurt by Charles on the feet. He was not there to be hit exactly. And he landed shots of his own, including an axe kick, which was a tremendous display of flexibility by Sarukin. And it shows that his game is quite versatile. So I love his potential. He's the number one contender. He was, in fact, offered a title fight backstage on June 1st, but it would be unfair for him to fight just 6 weeks after this fight. So I do think he's going to get the title shot at the end of the year, whether it's in October or November. I want to see it. And I do think he would have a better performance against Islam Makhachev than he did the first time around. And if he fights his teammate, Poirier, I think that's a bad fight for Poirier, too. So this guy has a very high ceiling.
Definitely agree. I'd like to see him take on Islam Makhachev at the end of the year. Maybe when UFC, obviously we got Dubai, Abu Dhabi coming up soon. So maybe when they go back to Abu Dhabi, so whereas maybe they run it back there. So I think that makes the most sense in my opinion. Yeah, fantastic performance from Arman. He did what he needed to do. Split decision. I thought was a bit iffy, but what am I complaining about? We had a fantastic night of fights. Like it was phenomenal. We were absolutely blessed to have this night. So yeah, Bo Nickel getting the win over Cody Brundage in the second round. He got a few minutes under his belt, but ultimately it was the finish or the ending that we always predicted. Bo Nickel to get his hand raised, whichever way he wants. Cody Brundage is a good wrestler, but Bo Nickel is just clearly on another level. Like it's ridiculous, isn't it?
This is exactly what I was expecting. Word for word was what I was expecting. Bo Nickel with a rear naked choke in round 2. Cody Brundage, he's not a high level guy, but he's not as low level as some of the guys Bo Nickel's been fighting. So I knew he could stick in there. He does have a college wrestling background, which is more than we can say for Bo Nickel's other opponents. So that alone was enough for him to stick around. And in round 1, there was a point where Bo Nickel was stunned by a big right hand by Cody. So Bo Nickel faced some adversity in this fight, but it was a very good reminder for some people that Bo Nickel is only 6 fights deep into his career, and he needs a little more experience before he's ready to go up there and fight, the Whitakers, the Stricklands. He needs a little more experience, and I think the right guy next would be Gerald Meerschaert, the most notorious finisher in this middleweight division, and a guy that is always used as a gatekeeper. So if he can get past Gerald Meerschaert, that would let us know where he's at in terms of climbing the ranks.
Yeah, I completely agree. You took the words out of my mouth there. One of the best gatekeepers that we have in the middleweight division. That would be a fantastic fight. I'm looking forward to that one. Well, if that happens next, sorry. I would like to see that happen next. Bo Nickel kind of needs a challenge next. Interesting to see what happens. I know there was a guy on Twitter, Instagram that called him out, which I'd like to see as well. And that name is Jacob Malkoon. So maybe that one could be one.
Yeah, the baddest hip in the middleweight division knocked out Andre Petrosky in his last fight, and Robert Whitaker's jiu-jitsu coach. So that's not an easy walk in the park. And I actually think that would be a very close fight. So I would love to see it. Bo Nickel is the guy that should not have been on the main card, but at least he got the win. And that's all we can ask for at this point. But now let's move on to the prelims, which were outstanding. The best prelims in UFC history, easily.
Yeah, 100% agree. And let's start off with one of the best fights in UFC in 2024 right now. Yuri Prochazka versus Alexander Rakic. It looked like it was going one way. It looked like it was going to go Rakic's way. He was the cleaner of the striker of the two. Obviously, anyone's going to be a cleaner striker than Yuri Prochazka. Like the guy looks like he's never ever trained striking in his life. It's crazy, but It works. He's a wild, wild man. It is absolutely phenomenal. But you know what he can guarantee for Jerry Prochaska is he'll never ever go down. He'll never go down with a fight. He'll get back up and he'll keep coming. He'll be inside your face. The pressure from this guy is absolutely incredible, and that's what broke, I believe, Alexander Rakic. I think the pressure was too much. Jerry Prochaska just wasn't going down, and just eventually broke Rakic. I think that's what happened. And obviously he got the knockout, got the TKO, and he got the ground and pound finish. Phenomenal stuff. One of the best comebacks I've seen in a while. It was absolutely fantastic to see. Your evaluation, Oscar, on Joe Prochaska putting on a fantastic performance against Alexander Rakic.
Dana White said that this was the fight of the night before Justin Gaethje and Max Holloway took it away from them, and it was incredible. Rakic was doing what I thought he would. He was keeping it safe. He was chewing up that lead leg of Yuri Prohaska, and it appeared to me that Yuri was about to get finished. That's how overwhelming the damage was. But Yuri ultimately just overwhelmed Rakic in the corner, landed big shots, and it appeared to me that Rakic wanted out at some point in that fight. That's how overwhelming the damage was. Rakic also had a staph infection on his elbow that couldn't have been too good for his cardio and his durability. So Prohaska proved that he's still a beast. He's still the number one contender as of now, and he's not going to go win this division. Even though he looks like a very vulnerable guy in there, he's just so dangerous. His reaction time is great, and he's got that samurai spirit.
Absolutely ridiculous. I love Jiri. The only thing I'd love for Jiri Prochaska if he fought a lot more. I want him to be more active, but maybe this is the start. He's fantastic to see. But yeah, with the fights that he has, maybe he can't be as active because he takes a lot of shots, but he takes them to give some. And we'll talk about this next one. And I don't know whether you want to talk about this one briefly because it wasn't the most exciting fights, was it? Compared to what we had previously as well, Kane Harrison was great. Diego Lopez was great. Hoynoto Maikano, that fight was great. And then we had Aljamain Sterling and Calvin Kattar. It kind of felt like Aljamain Sterling did what he needed to do to get the victory, 145 pounds. He used his grappling and just kind of shut off Calvin Kattar. Pretty much the way to put it. In the clinch, that was it.
Yeah, this was clearly the worst fight on the card. Calvin Kattar coming off of that long layoff. Traditionally in boxer, he had nothing for Sterling on the ground. And on the feet, he wasn't looking too good either. Aljamain Sterling, we can hate on him if we want to, but at the end of the day, Kattar did not do anything on the ground. Didn't try to get up because he knew if he gave up his back, he would get choked out. So he was overwhelmed by what Sterling had to offer on the ground. And Sterling, to me, looked really good at featherweight. He was really bulked up. And I think that physicality is still a factor because of the fact that he's bulked up. And there's some matchups that I do think would favor him higher in the rankings, but I do not see a championship ceiling at featherweight. But he can still hang. There's no doubt. And he said if he were to lose this fight, he would retire. So that shows you that Sterling is actually not too far from the end of his career. And it's good to see him get some appreciation from the fans that trashed him years back.
Yeah, you talked about then he's not far off the retirement, so it kind of seems like he's maybe got one foot outside the door already. So, yeah, no, he did what he needed to do. He got the victory over Calvin Kattar, who's always going to be tough. He's always going to be game, always going to be looking to get a knockout and be inside your face. But yeah, it wasn't the greatest performance. So we were absolutely, we're absolutely. I don't know how to explain it, but we were blessed this weekend because we had some fantastic fights, fantastic knockouts. One of them was the performance and the debut of Kate Harrison. Absolutely flawless. She took her down multiple times. In the first round, obviously the second round, she gets the rear naked choke. We knew there was going to be a difference of, the grappling. It was far too superior on Kate Harrison's side. Obviously, judo gold medalist, etc. Blah blah blah, world champion. But yeah, I felt like Holly Holm didn't really help that situation as well. She was looking to clinch Kayla Harrison, which I thought was a bizarre, but it is what it is. And I kind of felt like she walked herself into the ending and submission victory for Kayla Harrison on her debut against Holly Holm, Hall of Famer. Yeah, spectacular. Couldn't go any better for her. And now she gets to call out the top girls in the division. I would like to see what happens next. Maybe it's Raquel, whoever it is. Maybe it's Amanda Nunes. I think she's a serious contender. I think she's a threat.
Kayla Harrison did exactly what she needed to do. She got a finish. She made a statement. She called for a title shot. Raquel Pennington is currently injured, apparently, so she wants to fight Juliana Pena for a title shot. I think that is ideal. And she even got the former GOAT's attention, Amanda
Yeah.
Nunes. Amanda Nunes was watching at home, and she looked very interested in a potential fight with Kayla Harrison, her former teammate. So that is much must see if that happens. And I do think Kayla Harrison will get the belt no matter who she fights. She will finish all of these women, in my opinion, because she used to fight at a lightweight 155 in the PFL, and her cutting all this weight really pays off because she is a monster in that octagon. Holly Holm kind of forgot who she was fighting, and I literally said this on the show last week that she has this tendency to clinch. That's a horrible idea against a judo Olympic medalist, and that's what Kayla Harrison took advantage of. Got the throw going, and eventually got the rear naked choke. So I really am a fan of Kayla Harrison more than ever after this win, and as I said, future champion.
Yeah, completely agree. I'm looking forward to that. I'd like to see maybe Amanda Nunes back, but it is what it is. Let Amanda Nunes take her time, and when she's ready, she's ready. I kind of felt like this was a fight that potentially we could have seen down the road. Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes. It was always in the air, wasn't it? I feel like it was always there. What would happen if Kayla Harrison came over to the UFC and she actually made 135 pounds and fought Amanda Nunes, or 145 pounds? Now we find out. Now we get to find out what will happen. She's at 135 pounds inside the UFC. She might look horrible in the weigh-ins, but there's one thing that can guarantee: she has that size advantage, that strength over probably anyone in that division, 135 pounds. Like, she's not a small girl. She's not a small girl indeed. We'll go over to the men's 145-pound division, the featherweights. Diego Lopez, man. He lost his UFC debut against Movsar Ivanov. Since then, been picture perfect and knocked out Sadiq Youssef, a tough Sadiq Youssef, by the way. And he looked great. He looked flawless. Everyone's talking about his jiu-jitsu, but I feel like we're not seeing it. We're not seeing it because his hands are that good and his power is so good as well. He's been knocking these guys out. How impressive is Diego Lopez, Oscar?
This was a complete stunner for me. I picked Sadiq Youssef to get the knockout in this fight, and that's what he was trying to do. But in the clinch, he left himself open to a big uppercut, and he never recovered after that. Diego Lopez is one of these guys with a real killer instinct. As soon as he senses that his opponent is in trouble, he does everything in his power to finish the fight, and that's what makes him so exciting. And I do think that will lead to an eventual title opportunity for him. I'm really impressed by what he's been able to do in these last couple of years in terms of improvements, because this is a guy that couldn't even win on the Contender Series a couple of years back against Joe Anderson Brito, and then he even lost on the regional circuit after that. This guy has had a tremendous comeback since then, and I love to watch him fight. He's so dangerous; he can finish you anywhere, and to see him do that to Sadiq was very unexpected.
Yeah, phenomenal performance. I would like to see Lopez being get like a step up in competition. Whoever it is now, I'd like to see him at top 10 now. See what happens. Yeah. Next one is a fantastic one as well. This one really kicked off the show. Obviously we had Abdazza Figueiredo, Jim Miller, and Bobby Green. But this one I felt like was going to, set the tone of the rest of the night. Hanoito Moicano getting the comeback win against Jalen Turner. Jalen Turner, all he had to do was follow up his knockdown, and it was pretty much a wrap, wasn't it? Hanoito Moicano got knocked down bad, didn't he?
This really made me furious watching it because I said Jalen Turner would get a first round knockout. He was on the verge of doing it, but I feel like Jalen must have wanted that bonus so bad that he thought maybe if I just get this walk off KO, it'll guarantee the bonus. And he should have realized that in MMA, you got to finish the job or else the guy will come back for you. That's what Moicano did. I do have to give Moicano his respect. His wrestling looks so good. To take down a big, tall guy like Jalen Turner is not easy. and he did it more than once in this fight. And even after being severely concussed, in my opinion, he still was able to get the takedown round two, get that top position. And it appears to me that Jalen Turner has really bad weight cuts. He's a big guy for the division, and it really crushes his cardio. That's what happened here. He gassed out, and Hinata Moicano got the second round TKO. Serious comeback for Hinata Moicano. Unfortunately, no 300K for Money Moicano, but he will still get a bonus of some kind, according to Dana.
Moicano wants money. He says in the post-fight press conference or post-fight fight interview with Joe Rogan. Fantastic stuff. I love pointing out to Moicano. His personality, I feel like, is came out so much recently. He's started to get on the mic a lot more and entertain the fans and showcase what he's all about. It's fantastic stuff to see. I love it. Next one is Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez, split decision. This one, I don't know how you want to put this one, Oscar. How do you see this one? How did you see this one?
I thought it was a clear win for Andrade. I was surprised it was a split. She was wrecking Rodriguez's leg with those leg kicks all night long. She was able to secure top position and multiple points in the fight. I thought that Andrade kind of had a return to form in this fight. She had a really tough last year, but it appeared to me that all those short notice fights were not doing her any well. She had a full camp for this, and she was a big unstoppable force in this fight against Marina, who really does well striking against most opponents, even Yan Xiaonan, who fought for the title. But Andrade looked great.
Absolutely agree. Good to see Andrade getting a victory. I kind of feel like she's the staple, in the divisions at 125 pound or 115 pound, wherever she wants to go. Always tough to beat. Been in the game for a very long time. As you can see here, still 32 years old. Incredible. As you can see here, 26 and 12. She's been around for a long time. A real fighter. A real BMF. If there was a BMF championship, I feel like she could be up there as well. For the women's category. I'd love to see that happen. Anyway, next one. Second fight of the evening was Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. This was Jim Miller's big day. Obviously, he fought at UFC 100, UFC 200. Then he made the walk to UFC 300. Incredible stuff, the longevity that he showed in his career. 37 and 18 in his MMA career. But he come up against a much fresher man. A guy who was just a few years younger than him, but he was just more sharper in there on the feet anyway. He absolutely pieced up Jim Miller. I felt like there was at some points in this fight that way we could just stop the fight. I felt like Jim Miller was just getting absolutely battered. It wasn't pretty to see. But I do believe there maybe could have been points. Maybe Bobby Green could have got a stoppage where the ref just said, "That's that's enough." Like that. Okay, let Jim Miller fight for another day. He got absolutely smashed up to pieces. 25 stitches, I think he said on an Instagram video, which is like I feel his pain. Well, I don't feel his pain, but I feel bad for him. Like, do you know what I mean? So it was his big day. But unfortunately, he had to come up against Bobby Green, who's a fantastic little fighter. So yeah, tough night work for Jim Miller. And I feel like what you mentioned last week as well, the competition Jim Miller has been fighting before this, I kind of felt like that this was a huge step up as well. So maybe that played a factor.
Yeah, I thought Bobby Green had a big striking advantage in this fight, and it kind of showed here. Jim Miller was able to hurt Bobby Green twice in round one, but it appears to me that Bobby Green is a slow starter. Even Tony Ferguson hurt him. But once he gets his rhythm going, rounds 2 and 3, he was a force to be reckoned with. Jim Miller looked unrecognizable at the end of the fight. I don't think I remember a time when Jim Miller looked more beat up in a fight, and this is a guy that has the most UFC fights. So Bobby Green definitely has a feather in his cap by inflicting that kind of damage on Jim Miller, a guy who's very durable. And in my opinion, in round 3, that fight should have been stopped. Jim Miller was done. He fell to his knees from the accumulation of damage. And Bobby Green looked as vicious as ever, and he called for Paddy Pimblett. And I strongly believe that fight will happen July in Manchester, England. Even Sean Shelby, the matchmaker, he told DC that he would like to see that fight happen. So I think that fight will be made official not long from now.
If we can get that fight in UFC Manchester, take my money. I will try my best to be there anyway. I'm a guy that always looks for last minute tickets, because I'm a cheapskate, and you get your money's worth because they usually they drop the price, and or people are selling them etc. because they can't make it then. So that's the best way to get it. So that's what I did for UFC. When they come to London, it was the fight night, Tom Aspinall versus Marcin Tybura. So I did that, and I got a ticket
Yeah,
for £40, which was absolute
yeah, not
bargain.
bad.
So I'll take that. First fight of the evening was Figgy versus Cody Garbrandt, and I got to say, in that first round, Cody Garbrandt was looking, he was looking good, wasn't he? I thought Prime. I tweeted this. It was funny. So the end of the first round happened, and I tweeted, "Prime Cody's back. Let's fucking go." Second round happens. He gets taken down and submitted. Damn.
Yeah, I knew that Figueredo had the advantage on the ground for sure, but Cody Garbrandt does have a wrestling background, so I didn't think we would see it in this case, but Figueredo has a really good game plan when he wants to. Sometimes he can be a little reckless, but in this fight, he saw that Cody Garbrandt was the quicker man on the feet, so he took it to the ground. And Cody Garbrandt's jiu-jitsu's never really been tested like that, so I didn't know what would happen, and Figueredo got his back, and he choked him out quite easily. Apparently, Garbrandt was struggling with vertigo, according to his Instagram post. So that may have been a factor in this fight, but we can't be certain. Figueredo is a good black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and this man is a bona fide finisher at flyweight and bantamweight, and he continues to climb the rankings. And the perfect fight next for him is Piotr Jan.
Yeah, Cody Garbrandt was looking good in that first round, though. No, I thought he was looking sharp on the
Absolutely,
feet,
yeah.
quick as ever. We know what Cody Garbrandt, he's always going to be quick. But yeah, he was looking good. I think he was piecing up, especially them leg kicks as well. I think they were playing a factor for Davison Figueiredo. But eventually, as soon as it got to the ground, though, it was quick. It was an easy work for Figgy. So it's a shame. I was hoping for Cody Garbrandt to be back in the win column. To be honest, well, not back in the win column to build some momentum. Well, it would be. I can't remember his last fight.
He was on a
But yeah,
2-fight win streak heading into this.
yeah,
It's a shame it's
that's it. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know who's next for him, but yeah. It was an exciting fight. I enjoyed it very, very much. And we'll pretty much talk about it now. That was pretty much the fight card. A great night of fights. But the title of this podcast is Best UFC Event in UFC. Wait, sorry. Best event in UFC history, question mark. Yes or no, and why?
I think it's very tough, and we're especially riding off of recency bias in this case. But I
That's
will have
true.
to say that this is in the top three for sure. The other ones that come to mind personally would be
It's got to
UFC
be UFC 17.
195, I think it was, when Conor McGregor fought Chad
Correct.
Mendes and Robbie Lawler fought Rory McDonald and so many other
Great
crazy
event.
things. Also, UFC 205 when Conor became double
Great fight.
champion.
Good, yeah.
And we also
Damn.
we also had crazy stuff on that. And UFC 217, the 3 title
My
fights.
favorite of all time.
What was that?
My
George
favorite of all
St-Pierre,
time.
Rose Namajunas, TJ Dillashaw. There's been
Yeah.
so many fantastic events by the UFC, but I think the main thing they wanted to do was surpass UFC 100 and UFC 200. And I believe they absolutely did that in terms of quality.
Yeah, completely agree. What was it? 18 former or world champions inside the UFC were on the card.
I believe it was 12, which was
Oh,
11% of all UFC champions ever. So
wow.
they really
Incredible
showed out.
stuff.
They exceeded
Yeah.
expectations. And all the people saying that they were underwhelmed by the card are eating a big fat plate of crow this Monday morning.
Yeah. I was one of them guys. When I saw Alex Pereira Jamal Hill, I thought, yo, UFC 300, like this should be, it kind of should have a big feel to it. But then they built the card, and I thought, wow, okay, maybe it's not that bad. Like the amount they stacked it. Kayla Harrison inside the UFC, Diego Lopez. Like, I mean, they absolutely put it top to bottom. It was ridiculous. So, and ultimately, the main event was just fantastic as well. Alex Pereira getting that highlight real knockout with his left hook once again. Incredible stuff from Potan, and I'm just interested to see what next for him. I would like Magomed Ankalaev, but I'd also like Tom Aspinall because I just like to see that fight. Anyway, but I feel like the UFC will go to Alex Pereira. You got to defend your belt. You can't keep stepping up, like you know what I mean. So, interested to see what happens next. But he is a big star, though. He is a big star, so you never know.
For sure. And this
I'd like to.
this was a big showcase for him. There were some people that bought the card just because it was UFC 300. They may have not been that familiar with Alex, but this really puts him up there and getting a highlight KO and having like the meme reaction afterwards was tremendous. The guy doesn't even need English. He can communicate with nonverbal cues, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, phenomenal stuff. Great. A picture that went probably more viral than his knockout. It was incredible. But yeah, we'll move on. A fantastic event. Enjoyed it. One of the greatest events in UFC history. Fantastic stuff. But this weekend we have a few fights that we'd like to talk about. Really, PFL 3 goes down this weekend, and just a few fights that we're going to top up on, just to kind of keep yourselves refreshed. And maybe if there's if you're thinking, oh, no UFC fights this weekend, let's watch some PFL fights or maybe Cage Warriors or Octagon 56 this weekend. We're going to quickly talk about them. But as you can see, Andrei Koroshkov versus Magomed Umalotov in the main event. We've got Brendan Loughnane back. I love Brendan Loughnane. Some fantastic fighter. Sharp on the feet versus Pedro Carvalho. Mark my words, Brendan Loughnane locks out Pedro Carvalho in round 1. Pedro, not the greatest of chins. If you look back at his recent fights, he's been getting knocked out quite a lot recently. So, yeah, I predict Brendan Loughnane to win that one. But yeah, fantastic stuff. You got Logan Storley. I think he was the former Bellator champion, 170 pounds. Justin Gonzalez, Goto Horiguchi, Naaman Gracie, Bubba Jenkins. So really, really good cards. That to bottom. We've got Brett Johns as well. Looking forward to it. Yeah, what are your thoughts on the fight? Who have you got?
Yeah, I'm excited to be there. I will be there this Friday in the Wintrust Arena in Chicago. I think they did a really good job of stacking this with high level talent. Koreshkov, a former Bellator champion back in the day, taking on an undefeated Russian prospect. I love those kind of fights. Who will succeed in that kind of matchup? I usually like to go with the veteran, but when you're looking at an undefeated Russian wrestler, you got to side with the Russian wrestler. You just have to. Logan Storley is one of the best welterweights in the world, if you ask me. This guy, he beat MVP in England. That's not easy to do throughout 5 rounds. I really think he's a high-level guy. His wrestling is very excellent. Trains at Killcliff FC. I love what he's done. And Braga is the guy that just fought for $1 million against Jesus Pinedo in the PFL. So I really like what this card has to offer. Kai Kamaka, a former UFC veteran. I love seeing him in the UFC. Bubba Jenkins is a PFL staple. Lariano Staropoli, another former UFC talent. So is Don Madge. I like what they put together here. Yeah, Enrique Barzola, former UFC guy. Brett Johns, former UFC guy. So if you don't want to just watch guys from other promotions, there's former UFC guys on this. And Neiman Gracie is a guy that I always go out of my way to watch because he's got that Gracie last name, but he's not all about that jiu-jitsu. He loves to brawl. His fight with Logan Storley is one of my favorite Bellator fights of the last couple of years. So whether I'm covering the fight or I'm watching as a fan, I think I'll be enjoying this one.
Yeah, he loves the brawl. Most of the time it doesn't go his way, but it's exciting to watch. Obviously he's off the back of a win against Dante Shiro. I forgot Dante Shiro, something like that. But he lost against Goiti Horiguchi and obviously Logan Storley. But he's exciting to watch. Always in exciting fights. He's got some real talent as well. So hopefully he can pick up a bit of a momentum now and try and get some wins on his belt. Maybe it'd be good to see. This one will be a fantastic fight though. Goiti Horiguchi versus Naaman Gracie. So looking forward to that one. We've also got Cage Warriors 171 this weekend. Another great show for the UK fans or British fans. We've got Chris Bongard in the main event. This guy is absolutely. He is actually I don't know whether he's co-main event or main event, but I think he's main event. He is. He's worth every bit of your money. He's entertaining. Great to watch. £155. A veteran inside Cage Warriors, Bellator, etc. Fantastic fight. Looking forward to that one. Hopefully, I'd like to see Chris Bumgard get it done. I saw him at an event recently. He looks fit, looks ready to go. So Going to be a great fight. Look forward to that one. And on the co-main event as well, this is probably the better fight. This is probably the best fight of the evening. We got Reece McGowan coming off the back of a loss against for a title fight. He fought for a Cage Warriors 135 bantamweight championship. Unfortunately lost, but now he fights Cameron Elsey. You might remember that name. Yes, he was inside the UFC, got released from the UFC, and now this marks his return back to MMA action. And he takes on Reece McGowan, who's a fantastic prospect. He needs to win this one to get himself back on track. Obviously, he lost to Kyler Phillips and Arishi Lang, both by knockout or TKO. So this is a big one for him, a must win. And it's against Reece McGowan. I don't know which side this is going to go. I love Reece McGowan though. I love what he's about. I got his top in my wardrobe. I probably should have worn it, but good stuff. So some other decent fights as well. We've got Kia Harvey. This guy's exciting to watch. Make sure you watch that. And we've got Scott Malone as well, absolute veteran. But yeah, this is a fantastic card for the Scottish fans. Jack Eglin, Jordan Little as well. Once upon a time, I had him on the podcast, so make sure you catch him as well. Who else we got on here? Who else we got? Any names that? Oh, Pav Sahota. That'll be a decent one. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Some really good fights that you should be watching this weekend. If you're missing the UFC, there is a lot to watch elsewhere. I would preferably choose the next one though, if I was you. Not because I work for them, but because we got a fantastic card. We've got Aaron Abbey versus Sam Creasy, Akon Wallace versus Sahul Saraj, Shamrock versus Stefano Katakoli. What a fantastic domestic fight. We have got 150 pounds catchweight fight. Leo Meta versus Andre Klashnik, Daniel Scavor versus Will Flurry. Debut of Will Flurry. He's going to tear up the division. I truly believe that he's fantastic, elite talent. George Staines, Octagon Challenge champion, returning back after his victory against Dennis Frimpong versus Thomas Shinik. And then we've got Jacob Donnell versus James Hendon. James Hendon, his coaches believe he's one of the best in the world currently right now. I saw him train the other day at TFT MMA. He's dangerous, man. He is big. Absolutely huge for 145 pounds. And then we've got everyone's favorite, Dennis Frimpong versus Callum Mullen. If you don't know who Dennis Frimpong is, make sure you search him on Instagram. This guy can talk for Britain, or Ireland, shall I say, actually. But yeah, this guy is absolutely phenomenal to watch. Absolutely fantastic on the mic. Entertaining as ever. Amiri Deirdrick, James Dixon, Bo Gavin. Oh man, yeah, we've got a really stacked card, some local fights as well, so make sure you tune in as well. But that's the fights I'm looking forward to. I will be there working, get some content for the social media and stuff like that. So yeah, it's gonna be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. I would ask you, Oscar, which one would you like to see the most, but I don't know if you would know anyone. But the most likely.
Yeah, I'm personally not familiar with these guys, but I do think that Octagon MMA is one of the more formidable promotions in the game. And the fact that they hired you shows you that they want to grow on social media. And
yeah,
believe me, they're going to grow with you at the helm.
I'm trying. I'm helping. That's the goal. If you're going to watch any fight though on Octagon 56, it has to be Shamrock versus Stefano Katakoli. As I mentioned, it's a domestic matchup. Shamrock fighting out of Liverpool. Traveling down to obviously Stefano Katakoli fighting out of way of London. They meet in Birmingham for a scrap. This is going to be a fantastic fight. I'm thinking about it and I'm smiling. So this one's going to be good to watch from backstage, though. Unfortunately, I won't be there, be able to watch, kind of feel the atmosphere out. But yeah, this one, I'm looking forward to it. Make sure you catch that this weekend live on DAZN and Channel 4 in the UK and Octagon TV. So yeah, make sure you catch that one. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up the episode. A nice, quick, smooth one. Just UFC 300 to recap, and obviously the fights this weekend. Oscar, moving forward, obviously we got UFC 301. Obviously we got Matthias Nicolau and Alex Perez, not this week, but next weekend. 301 though. Are you looking forward to that? Obviously that's in front of France, Brazil. It's going to be a good show, that one.
Yeah, it's a really good card, but it's not exactly a pay-per-view level card, especially after we just saw UFC 300, but I understand the sacrifices they had to make for 300 to happen. He sacrificed Alex Pereira from that card. They had to bring Jose Aldo out of retirement to put him on that card. There's so many Brazilian guys that won 300 that would have been great on 301, but that's just what they had to do. I really like the card. I do think that Steven Erceg, Alexandra Pantoja is a very fun fight. A lot of people don't know who Usyk is. They're about to find out in that fight. I think he may have a competitive round or two in that fight. And who knows, crazier things have happened than him winning that title. And I'm looking forward to seeing Anthony Smith, Vitor Petrino, Michelle Pereira in action. And obviously, as I mentioned, Jose Aldo, Jonathan Martinez will be a fantastic striking fight that I do think will show us if Jose Aldo will stay out of retirement or not.
Yeah, jumping straight back in the deep end against Jonathan Martinez is after not being active, obviously he had them boxing fights, but damn, man, the balls on Jose Aldo, crazy.
Yeah, that is not an easy fight at all. In fact, it's not a fight where he can really use the leg kicks like he usually does. Because Martinez is a master at the leg kicks himself, and he's a master of using the range like that. We've seen Aldo struggle against rangy guys like Max Holloway in the past, so that will steal the show, in my opinion. But outside of that, Paul Craig and Caio Bahayo, I think that's a really quality opener on the card.
Yeah, that's going to be an absolute bang. I'm looking forward to that. Love Paul Craig. Always entertaining as ever. Great on the mic. Personality is second to none. Fantastic stuff to see. So, yeah, make sure you catch us next week as we preview, just a preview show next week. Mataj Nicolau and Alex Perez. Going to be a great show. I'm looking forward to that one. Oscar, thank you very much for joining me. Any last sending off words before we let them all, disappear?
Yeah, just make sure to enjoy the PFL Cage Warriors in Octagon MMA fights. There's still stuff out there if you want to see fights. And next week we will be previewing honestly a dreadful UFC Apex card, but join us. We'll try to find the bright spots in there one way or another. I think we've been able to work with less than we have in the past, so I think we'll make it work.
Yeah, back in the Apex, ladies and gentlemen. Way absolutely ecstatic about that. Anyway, see you next week. Thank you very much.